Hi, I'm Ryan,
Hey, I'm Nate.
Hello, I'm Steve.
and we are the Dungeon Vets. And today we are doing a party talk on Willow and the Princess Bride, two fantasy titans of the 1980s. Titans, man, I don't know how many other 80s fantasy movies there are, but we recently did a couple of movie talks where we watched Willow. We talked about it, talked about how you could bring some of the aspects of that into D&D. Then we did the same thing with the Princess Bride. And so now we thought it'd be fun if we took the two parties of each of those movies and decided to pitch them together in a comparison to see which one of those two parties is the superior Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition party. So Steve, which team are you taking today?
The Princess Bridesmen.
Very nice. The Princess...
That wasn't one of the choices. That's a different movie.
Oh, did you watch the wrong movie?
The Princess Bridesmen is a movie?
Yeah, it's on X videos, I think.
But still starring Carrie Elwes.
and
Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, Nate, that means you are taking the Willow crew, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And to compare these two, we've normalized them. Even though they have different abilities and such in their respective movies, we have converted them both into 5th edition D&D, meaning they're all going to be 6th level adventuring parties. And because we are transferring mediums here, there are going to be aspects that are changed about the characters. For instance, I imagine that some of the spell casting will be different from Willow than it is in Dungeons and Dragons, and so on with the martial characters. Some characters will be able to do more or different things than they could in their movie depictions. I could not think of the word depictions. I'm sorry.
Translation isn't perfect, yeah.
It's never going to be perfect until we do that the Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out, and then it might be.
It might be pretty, hopefully, anyway. We'll see. But we're going to put them in a D&D scenario. I have 3 D&D wheels here that I'm going to spin. One's going to pick the environment of the adventure that you guys are going to be in. And then, if we get a desert or Arctic, the different team might win depending on the abilities of your teams. I've added a specific set of monsters that you'll be fighting that are around your level, and I'm pretty familiar with the stat blocks of. And then there's also going to be a social encounter. What are you doing in these locations? What is the quest? Why were you sent to the desert? Why are you in the Arctic? And so on. And then whichever team takes 2 out of 3 of those scenarios is the superior 5th edition party. So without further ado, because Willow is older than the Princess Bride, Nate, why don't you walk us through your party?
All right, we'll start with the good old Willow Ufgood. Willow, I made a rock gnome wizard. I went back and forth kind of between sorcerer and wizard because they kind of talk about he has this natural born innate talent, which kind of leads towards sorcerer, and he seems to do some sorcery things, but he also is he's learning stuff. He's doing studying. He's gifted that book, I believe, in the end. And so I was like, you know what? That seems like a wizard thing.
Yeah, totally.
So I made him a wizard. It's kind of hard to pick exactly what school of magic, but I went with abjuration.
Yes, the best subclass to the best class. Oh, man. Well, as DM, I approve.
Actually, the thing that tipped me, and I don't even know if I realized this in the movie, maybe I just forgot it, but they have that ward, that protection thing, and there's a couple of times where Willow uses protection magic to protect people.
That's a fair justification.
And next we have, of course, who else but Mad Mardigan. So Mad Mardigan, I toyed with a little bit too. There's an obvious way to go, but I ended up doing a multi-class. He's a fighter 2, bard 4.
Nice.
Because, he does a lot of very classic bard things, And he uses his charisma a lot. Honestly, I would say more than he fights,
man.
really.
This is... Nate is power gaming his party right now, and I love it.
And also, I don't think they go into this in the movie. I was looking up like their characters on like the fan wikis and stuff like that, and there's like a bunch of background stuff on these characters, and I don't know if that came from the movie before or if this has already been established because of the show, and like there's already some.
Nee, those are just fanfics. You just read.
That's what it was.
Were you on X videos again?
That's why they didn't have clothes on in that version, Nate.
Mad Mardigan was one who learned this martial art. I can't remember what it was called. It's I don't know. It sounded vaguely East Asian, but it's all about kind of fancy sword work. And so I made him a College of Swords bard with the flourishes.
All right, this is great. I'm very happy about this.
And last but not least, I decided to go with Sorsha for my third. Sorsha was a little more straightforward. She's riding a horse a lot, she wears armor, and she's got a big old bow. And apparently, in the lore, Sorsha, oh my god, what was her? The evil sorceress.
Queen Bavmorda.
Bavmorda. How could I forget Bavmorda? Anyway.
How much deep lore did George Lucas really write here?
I mean,
yeah, where's this lore coming from you're talking about? Is there a wiki for Willow? Of course there is, on it because there's a Disney show coming out. But, like, there's more lore than what we see in the movie?
Oh, much more.
Oh, that's...
Actually, I wouldn't say much more. There's, like, a little bit of background. It wasn't, like... You're not going to go down a real rabbit hole in Willow lore, but there is more than we see in the movie.
Okay.
At least that I recall. So... Bavmorda tried to raise her up to be a sorceress like her, but Sorsha couldn't do a lick of magic. So Sorsha tended more towards the martial combat side of things, really enjoying horse riding and archery. So I kind of played with making her a cavalier, but at level 6, it just wasn't really a whole lot. But I did want to make her ranged, so I went with Fighter 6, and she's an arcane archer.
What?
I figure, no magic, but a lot
Can't
of
do a
these...
lick of magic?
Excuse me. I believe a lot of those arcane archer features can be flavored as not necessarily being casting a spell.
We're pro flavoring around here.
Exactly.
I mean, do we ever see her use the bow?
I'm pretty sure we do.
No, we
do
don't.
We not?
Not in the movie, we don't.
She's got it.
I know this for a fact because it's part of my rant about why she's the second worst part of the movie. I won't get into it now. Go watch the podcast.
But she's got arrows on her back, so it's implied.
You're goading me right now, Ryan.
Well, all right, Nate, I'm very surprised and happy about your choices. Steve, what do you got to go up against the Willow crew?
I'm not very happy about Nate's choices, and I'll have things to say about it.
He's quaking in his boots already.
But I have the Princess Bridesmen, which consists of Fezzik, the giant, and I made Fezzik a champion fighter. So to the person who asks right away, why not a barbarian? Because he kind of fits a lot of the stereotypical barbarian things, but we never see him rage, and if anything, he's the lone character who never demonstrates any sort of rage qualities in the entire movie, though I do know you can flavor barbarian rage differently, and I am a big fan of that. But he also doesn't ever demonstrate any decent movement at all, and barbarians are one of the most mobile classes that there is. And he's lumbering around the entire time, having to catch up to people often. And so it didn't seem right for him to have more speed than people like Inigo. But he is also very simplistic in the way that he goes about his business and solves his problems. And I don't mean that in a bad way. So he's a champion fighter, the most simplistic of classes that there is, but very, very effective at what he does when he has 20 strength and can crit on a 19 or a 20, especially against things like doors.
On that note, what race did you choose for him?
He is a variant human.
A variant human with how much strength?
20.
20, very nice.
I have to agree with your choice of class there. I thought about bringing Fezzik into D&D as well, and I was like, I don't think he'd be a barbarian. Like,
he sounds like Grog, but he's nothing like Grog.
Yeah, and that's the role-playing aspect of him fits very heavily to a lot of barbarian molds, and it's just I think a good, strong depiction that fighters can fit a huge array of personalities and stuff like that, they are the most, in my opinion, one of the most RP heavy classes. Because it's really all on you to make something out of your character. And if you don't, then you just fall into that old trope of fighters are boring or whatever. But I digress.
That's why they're the best class.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So then we have Inigo Montoya, who is a Battlemaster fighter. I know that when we talked about the movie, I made points about him being a swashbuckler. And, swashbucklers are very much about dueling, and that's kind of what the subclass is built around. But, like I just said, this is another excellent depiction of how fighters can be fit to a wide array of different molds of personalities and types and stuff. And so, he's just a Battlemaster duelist who focuses all on dueling. He has the defensive duelist feat, the dueling fighter style, the piercer feat.
Okay, I like this. He's going real deep into that.
He is very much a swashbuckler, but that doesn't necessarily mean he has to be that class.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you.
No, I'm loving this. Keep going.
All right, so Nate stole my idea. I'm saying it now.
Oh, did you?
We all knew in the end it was going to be Wesley versus Mad Mardigan.
I didn't make him any levels of fighter, however. He is 6 levels of Swords Bard. Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts, the Man in Black, True Love's vessel. I said this when we talked about the movie. I think he's a bard. One, just listen to the way he talks. That's it. Just every single thing that comes out of his mouth screams bard. And everyone's a variant human, by the way. And Wesley is a variant human. His variant human feat that comes with him is the tough feat. Because we see Wesley survive some terrible, horrible things, come back from death, shall we say. That's what is heavily implied, if not outright stated,
He's
right?
mostly dead.
Yeah, okay. So, but he gets back up, and that's pretty tough. He takes on the story of Dread Pirate Roberts, and he's continuing on that legend. That's a bard thing, Not all bards need to have a lute and need to sing. I am a huge proponent of people doing different bard things. You can be a bard and never touch an instrument in your life. I think that flavoring can explain a lot of what he does and why he's so damn good at everything. He uses Bane on Fezzik when he beats him, and he uses Hold Person. That's how he's able to choke him out. It's not because he's stronger than Fezzik. Of course he's not stronger than Fezzik. He has things like Enhance Ability, which he only ever uses on himself. And things like Suggestion and Fear and Enthrall and stuff like that, So he's never using Shatter or Thunder Wave or stuff like that. So his spells don't give him any crazy abilities that we don't see in the movie, because Princess Bride is definitely more low magic than Willow is. I am, might be considered the underdog in this respect, but it's hard to cast spells when you can't stop staring at Wesley.
I will say I also tried to lean less towards the super magic-y spellcasting stuff for Mad Mardigan. Just the same thing you mentioned. I did it too.
Well, I said it first.
Well then, the teams are set. From the Princess Bride, we have Wesley, Fezzik, and Inigo, and from Willow we have Willow, Sorsha, and Mad Mardigan. So, let's get started with this. I have a exploration scenario that you guys are going to go through, a combat scenario, and a social scenario. The combat's going to be last. I'm not going to tell you guys who wins each scenario so that I can reveal it all at the end. However, the scenarios are different from the ones that we've done in previous party talks. I've sort of picked locations, monsters, and scenarios that these parties I could see them doing. But to get started,
what do you guys think about using dice instead of the wheel? Because I saw that some people in the comments don't like that we use a wheel. I mean, what it means is we would just have to make a table and then roll the dice and then reference the table, and it's more work.
You know what? I'll fix it for you. So I've rolled some dice, and I've decided.
Wow.
I've decided to change it all up completely. There's no more pick your wheels. I've rolled the dice, and the exploration component of this adventure will take place in the mountains. It's going to be the high places, not just the peaks of the mountains, but surely maybe in this adventure you will have to cross some of the peaks. But imagine the hills and the scree and the canyons and all of those components as you are imagining your party going through it. So I'm gonna say, because Nate is balder than Steve, he gets to go first.
All right, so none of my characters have like anything in the deep lore that particularly gives them a character advantage for this kind of environment. But from their classes, we do get a few things. A lot of it comes from Willow being a wizard. They're just really handy, and I kind of focused him on being pretty like utility heavy. And of course, you've got things like a fire's never going to be a problem. You can warm up food in the mountains. That's always, creature comforts are important. Um, Another big one, I think, possibly in this kind of terrain is the spell Fly, which Willow has. Helping him just get into perspective, or even like possibly lifting things up to where needed. If there's climbing involved, Willow, he's going to use Fly while the others use their athletics to get up places. We've also got Speak with Animals in there, which could be very helpful. If there are animals.
I can imagine there might be animals in the mountains. So.
Yeah, animals live in the mountains sometimes. No, I mean, never mind. No, there are never animals there. They're just statues and golems.
Who wouldn't want to hear what a mountain goat has to say about things?
I am immediately thinking of that video of the two goats screaming at each other.
But all right, is that it? Do you have anything else to add to your case? We'll give you a chance to talk.
Oh, rebuttal, perfect.
Done. All right, Steve, what do you got?
So, while my party may not be as magically inclined as a party with an actual wizard.
That was a good joke. Inclines, mountains. Points for that.
Fuck.
I'm a writer. I think that if we were to pick any one thing in The Princess Bride that strays into magical, it is the strength of Fezzik. Fezzik displays some insane levels of strength. So he is clearing the way. He can clear obstacles. He probably knows his way around the mountains. I'm kicking myself for not making him a Goliath now. But Inigo and Wesley are certainly no slouches when it comes to trekking across country. In finding food and supplies and stuff like that, you have 3 people that are basically bandits, live outside the law, and have made their entire lives, adult lives, seemingly, from what we know, doing this sort of thing and doing it well and not relying on cheap magical tricks. They just kill the pig and make it disappear that way. And obviously, Wesley, he has inspiration that he's keeping everyone up. He has enhanced ability that he might begrudgingly use on someone else. But he's certainly going to need it to keep up with the likes of Fezzik or to keep up with the likes of Inigo. And Fezzik is really tall, so he can see far, good perception. And so, yeah.
Well, Nate, do you have anything to add to your case?
I think it's just a case of almost anything Steve's team can do, my team can do better.
All right. Any final thoughts, Steve?
I mean, you look at it, it's like, oh, I've got the bard doing stuff. I got a bard doing stuff. I got a guy who can look up high. I got a guy who can fly in the air.
Look, I appreciate the smack talk, and I appreciate the confidence.
Well,
thank you.
Your bard is not as charismatic as my bard, but that's
how's that gonna help you in the mountains?
It's an argument for a different day.
Did you pick spells for Wesley?
Yes, I did. He knows things like Healing Word, Silvery Barbs, Vicious Mockery, which he uses on Humperdinck at the end, Enhance Ability, Hold Person, Suggestion, Fear.
Okay.
So even if they were to come across, if anything dangerous in this terrain,
Sure.
he would be able to handle it. We essentially see them in the mountains, the cliffs of insanity.
Okay. Cliffs are not mountains, but I get where you're coming from.
Oh, I forgot. He's a geologist.
Doesn't
He really knows his stuff.
it doesn't
listeners.
take a degree to know that cliffs aren't
He's
mountains.
getting real technical on us in this party talk.
Yeah, listen, I don't speak all that geo talk, all right? Using your fancy words.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on then. I already already rolled the dice for the social scenario and DMing this. While in the mountains, your parties are trekking through alpine hills and forests and whatnot when you finally show up at the location of a royal wedding.
Oh, destination wedding, okay.
It's a destination wedding near the top of the mountains overlooking a massive cliff. You can see the river. It's gorgeous.
Well, now, Ryan, I've heard that cliffs aren't mountains. Are you sure it's overlooking a cliff?
Cliffs can't have mountains, but a cliff isn't a mountain. Or no, mountains can have cliffs.
He
what
doesn't
I
even
meant.
know what he's saying.
Okay, so just a second ago, you were an expert.
Mountains can have cliffs, but a cliff is not a mountain.
Fucking embarrassing.
Anyway, overlooking the valley down below on this mountain, you have found the location of a royal wedding where this king prince type person is getting married to one of the loved ones of someone in your party, and you have to break it up. So, which party is going to be better at this? You can imagine there would be guards. There would be audience, probably a before party and an after party, and certainly the ceremony itself. I am certainly okay with you guys improvising certain scenarios here. But if you improv one scenario, that means the other team can then use that as well. But since Nate went first last time, Steve, what do you got?
I probably should go first because this is essentially the entire plot of what brings my party together in their movie.
We could have rolled escorting a baby to a castle, but
Could you have?
Is the fact that the bride-to-be is related to one of the party members in your situation?
Yep, but I can choose the party
Wow.
member if you don't want to choose.
No, I mean, what? No, we should probably choose Wesley. It'll keep him motivated and keep him rearing to go. We're trying to stop the wedding? Is that
Stop the wedding.
Stop the wedding, but without doing it with combat.
Yep.
Right? Because this is a social
You
scenario.
will be killed by 30 to 60 guards.
Okay. I do have experience in dealing with 60 guards, but I'll let that slide for now. I don't know that I can. Okay. If we're going to pull this off without hurting anybody, then my party is so suited for it, almost more suited than if it were a combat scenario, because Wesley's entire thing is deception. He has built his entire career of whatever he is in The Princess Bride based off of a lie. He's not the real Dread Pirate Roberts, but he plays the part so well, and he has learned a lot of things all along the way. That's why he's a bard. And bards are the class that interrupt romantic endeavors in D&D for their own pursuits and roll to seduce. It's literally the biggest meme of D&D probably. And so Wesley is perfectly suited for this. It's his true love. He is going to be right there. Inigo Montoya is going to get the man that killed his father. He is doing nothing but supporting Wesley in order to oh wait. You know what? I take that back.
Are you sure that Inigo wouldn't run off the moment he sees someone from his backstory?
He would be very interested to do so, but he understands that the goal here is to stop the wedding. And Fezzik is there. He is a calming presence. He is bringing wisdom to Inigo's ear and helping him realize that the best thing is for them to work together as a team. And he is the ultimate support guy. He, in the movie, we see him go and get the horses. He carries Wesley and puts him in exactly the right spot, even though he doesn't know his way around the castle.
Okay, yeah, that's valid.
He's the one who gets Inigo and brings him back into the story when Inigo is like lost and in a drunken stupor. So he's kind of that calming presence on Inigo as well. He will be able to guide himself and Inigo to do their roles, and Wesley, the ultimate planner, smarter than Vicini, who makes Socrates and Aristotle and Plato look like morons. The Princess Bridesmen is what they're called. I'll just end with that.
All right, that is a strong final argument, and I think my favorite part is probably Fezzik's antics and all this. I think he does add a little bit of a wild card aspect, but also make everyone else better, almost like he's the bard. Nate, what do you got? And which character are you choosing to have the loved one being married off to? Is Willow's wife Kaya about to be forcibly remarried to
Burglecut?
Oh, God.
Burglecut, yeah.
Sure, yeah. we'll say that's exactly what it is, because that's gonna make this plan a whole lot funnier. My plan is pretty straightforward, or my party's plan. As we know, Mad Mardigan is a master of two things: disguise, as we see when they come in the hut and he's disguised himself as a woman.
As we know, his woman disguise was flawless. Okay, go on.
Which is why he's got disguise self. And the second thing Mad Mardigan is a master of is seduction. He manages to woo Sorsha over onto their side almost purely through the power of sweet nothings.
Right, yeah. I can't argue with that. That's canon.
So, as I said, the plan is quite simple. I've got two people who could be great at providing distractions. Willow, especially with the magic and illusions and things like that. Sorsha, she's dex-based, pretty stealthy if need be. You know, we're keeping out of the way. We're not going in and slitting any throats, killing anyone. Just causing a ruckus that makes it easier for Mad Mardigan to use his disguise, slip in, and work his magic on Willow's wife.
All right. So,
for
the benefit of Willow.
For the benefit of Willow.
It's for the greater good.
You know, through their journeys, they've grown to trust each other and you know, to do things like this.
Very well. You know, that's certainly a plan. Steve, do you have anything to add to your plan?
This feels unfairly targeted towards his party, however. I'm just going to say that. I feel like there's some collusion happening.
I will just say that Wesley, obviously, he's a bard. He's good at everything. And Inigo is proficient in persuasion, as well as intimidation, and Fezzik is proficient in performance, because he's very good at coming up with rhymes for things. That demonstrates an apt mind to be able to think very quickly in the moment and to be able to say the right thing. And what we actually see from Fezzik is a very witty mind towards language. So they're not just simple fighters.
It's very true. Very true. And Nate, any last thoughts?
No, my plan needs no elaboration. It is perfect the way it is.
Okay, got it. All right, and so I did roll these dice ahead of time as we move into our combat scenario. So successfully, Wesley and Mad Mardigan, along with their parties, have gone to rescue the brides of the loved ones who are being married off. However, it turns out, as you grab them to try to get them out of the wedding party, your hand goes through their arm, almost as if they are an oozy substance. They pull back and turn into a white, gooey, adult Oblex. Roll initiative. You guys are fighting an Oblex.
Our love interests have been turned into Oblexes?
Slimes and jellies and puddings.
Did you just kill a character's love interest in front of them, DM?
They can eat memories of creatures they can see, dealing great amount of psychic damage, and they actually take the memories of the people that they eat the memories out of, and they're able to turn into them. So it may be implied that the loved ones are gone.
Goodness.
Yeah.
What a scenario.
Do you guys need
What a podcast.
Do you want to go over the card yourself before we get started with your arguments?
I already am.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but I went and found a bunch of CR 5 through 8 creatures to sort of try to find an appropriate monster for this level we are, and the amount of characters that are in the party, since these are smaller parties than average, 3 characters. So I think these are well within the capability of each of your parties to destroy.
Good God. Charm Person has a 5th level spell.
Yeah, and so the listeners are aware, this is the adult Oblex from the Mordenkainen's Presence. Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse. It is a rehash of the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes adult Oblex, but it's got some pretty crazy stuff like Sulfurous Impersonation, which it can extrude a part of itself, and it assumes the appearance of a humanoid whose memories it's stolen. It can cast Charm Person as a 5th level spell, and it also has Eat Memories, which is a DC 15 saving throw.
Go look up Oblex for sure. It's interesting.
It's got the classic gelatinous ooze attack, the pseudopod, that if it touches you, it does damage. Although the normal ooze will do acid damage, this one does psychic damage. But Nate, you're going to be the one going first here.
All right. Well, the general sort of strategy of my party is to kind of let Mad Mardigan be the one up in front. He's both the face and, in a way, the tank. A little less traditional of a tank, but he's got those flourishes. He is a fighter, too, so he's got that second wind. And also, he's got Willow in the back, throwing out those abjuration, those wards, protective spells, a little bit of battlefield control, things like that. All the while, Sorsha is somewhere in the back. No slouch herself if she gets caught, but she's throwing out that Dex fighter damage. I think the big thing here is that the Oblex has something with fire damage. If it takes fire damage, it's got disadvantage on its next attack, I believe it was.
Yep, that's correct.
So, pretty easy for Willow as a wizard to just keep throwing out those fire bolts. Don't even need spell slots on this. See if we can land some fire damage on it to help keep Mad Mardigan up even longer.
It is worth noting that if a character is hit by the Eat Memories attack and they do take that damage, they have to subtract a d4 from their ability checks and attack rolls. And then each time they are hit by that Eat Memories, that d4 turns into a d6 and eventually a d8 until it eventually becomes a d20. But instead of disadvantage, you're subtracting it from your total.
Ideally, at some point, Willow might get the opportunity to cast Haste on Mad Mardigan as well for that extra bit of AC, and also maybe just keeping distance if need be, if you can't take any more of those, Stay squirrely.
Well, to start off this combat encounter, Willow is right next to the Oblex. Let's not forget, that's how the DM instigated this.
Oh, good. Then he's right there to cast Haste before he gets the hell away.
What is Willow's AC?
Without Mage Armor, I think it's 11.
And why would you put Mage Armor to approach your love?
I mean, if we're just coming out of this encounter, I, at least as a wizard, pretty much, if there's even a chance of combat, I have Mage Armor up all the time. It lasts 8 hours.
Okay, fine. That's true. It's like in a first person shooter game. Like, if you're not fully loaded in the clip, you're reloading.
Exactly. Wake up, Mage Armor. Lunchtime, Mage Armor.
Well, all right. That is a pretty expedient plan, I would say. Steve, what about how are you guys dealing with this adult Oblex or with the Princess Bridesmen?
All right, so Wesley is so clever. He's so smart. He figures everything out. And so he would be able to instantly let Fezzik and Inigo know that fire damage is what is required. And, Fezzik, I'll make no bones about it. He's a melee-based character who seemingly just uses his fists, and he would have to get up close and personal with that. But what we also see from Fezzik is he is not afraid of fire whatsoever. When they do that big Dread Pirate Roberts trick, he is coated with flames. And yeah, you can say there's some movie magic going, but what they're saying to us is that Fezzik, the character, is willing to be coated in flames head to toe, and he has no qualms about continuing to play his part. So he's not going to have any qualms about taking these big torches or lighting a sword on fire or lighting a whole table on fire and throwing that.
I could imagine there's lots of tapestries and such everywhere. This is a royal wedding. Certainly a lot
And
of
a
flammable
tapestry in the
material.
hand of Fezzik is basically a whip. Because he's that strong. All right? So imagine Fezzik with this huge flaming whip, like what the Balrog has when he fights Gandalf, and he's just lashing this Oblex. Inigo is a battle master, and he's able to add on the damage, able to give the Oblex a different target so that he's not focused on Inigo, or excuse me, he's not focused on Wesley, he's not focused on Fezzik. And Wesley... I saw also the Oblex is immune to several conditions, charmed, deafened, blinded, but not to fear. And once Wesley realizes that somebody has taken his love, taken her memories, impersonated her, harmed her, he is going to stand up from paralyzation, if need be, and he will point his sword at the creature, and he will say, "You will fear me," and that creature will fear him, and it'll making it very easy for everyone to pile on the damage.
Very well. That is a great plan, and I do really appreciate you bringing the aspects of the movie into your argument. I think that's pretty fair here. But I do have a couple questions for you guys. What is your highest wisdom score in your party?
Oh, I'll toss in as well that
That's not what he asked
Willow.
you to do. No tossing.
Well, it's directly related because wisdom has. Well, okay, so he has advantage on wisdom saves against magic. I don't know if this counts as magic.
How is that worded? Against spells and magical
against
effects?
magic.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Will be a 12.
What about you? What's your highest wisdom on your team, on the Princess Bridesmen?
The highest wisdom score or wisdom saving throw?
That's wisdom saving throw. Give me that.
+4 for me then.
Okay, +4.
So Fezzik has a +1.
Okay. Charm Person and Hypnotic Pattern are both wisdom saves, and the Eat Memories attack is also a wisdom save.
I've also got Counterspell on my team if that comes up. I don't know if the Charm Person is a spell being cast or another effect of something
He really
else
was
doing.
power gaming today, man.
As if I knew this was going to happen. What kind of wizard doesn't take Counterspell when they've got it?
That's kind of the point that I'm making.
How do you imagine that even Willow casts Counterspell? Does he just pop out like a bird and the bird flies over and poops?
So the thing is, I imagine this. I've got it in my head this whole time that this is level 6
This
Willow.
is level 6
This is Willow after the movie. This is like show Willow, where he's kind of like it almost looks like a grizzled old like master kind of, as opposed to the guy who's just now getting into magic as we see him in the film Willow.
Well, all right. I'm going to consider everything here. Does anybody have any final thoughts?
Binding shot could be really helpful for Sorsha.
I mean, we never see Sorsha use the bow, so we don't know that she can actually use
Read the lore.
all this deep lore about Willow.
The most important part of any movie is reading the lore afterwards.
Well, all right. So, the team who won the mountain exploration, that's going to go to Team Willow.
What? My
magic.
Fezzik is tall comment didn't seal it for me.
No, maybe if you had gone Goliath, but you couldn't help yourself. You had to get 3 variant humans.
I know. He wouldn't have had 20 strength otherwise.
I'm surprised you guys no one picked like a custom origin.
I thought we couldn't do that. I thought we
No.
needed
Well, I'm not
needed
surprised
to
then.
create them as they're depicted in their source material.
But yeah, the sheer just magic utility that Willow's team was able to bring out was the edge. As good, I think, as the Princess Bride would have done. I just think the Willow's team would have done it a little bit better in this scenario. It's also worth mentioning that in the Willow movie, you go a lot of places, including to the top of a mountain. I'm surprised you didn't mention that.
My team got lost in the cliffs,
Yeah,
thinking that's what these are mountains, right?
exactly. All right, and then the social scenario where you are breaking up a royal wedding. I gave that to Willow.
What?
Oh, let's fucking go!
It's
Undefeated!
realistically, it's the magic. And Well, I wanted to talk about like the charisma saving throws, but that's only a third of your party. Your party is also doing other things, and I will say that Sorsha is a little bit low on the doing stuff, but Madame Mardigan and Willow with the magic and all that, I did think was superior, especially with the magic, than Inigo, Fezzik, and Wesley. And I do want to say here, we're bringing them into 5th edition, and you did such an amazing job of making the Princess Bridesmen true to their movie counterpart that they didn't have any magic. Maybe that's on us.
I mean, you had Wesley as a bard, and honestly, after we finished the second round, the social, I thought the Bridesmen had taken it for sure.
I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
I'm not.
Flay him in the comments. Flay Ryan.
And then the third round, the combat against the adult Oblex, I also gave that to Willow.
What?
Yeah, that's right. 3 out of 3.
Oh,
Undefeated.
shit, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
this
so
was
upset about this.
unfortunately a sweep. That
Oh
is the
my
way I
God.
DM'd it.
I
I think you guys both would have taken down the adult Oblex, but I do think the magic.
God, so is that the lesson that Dungeon Vets is putting out, that like your team is better if it has magic users?
Your team
is better if you're having more fun.
Your team will have more versatility, mechanically speaking.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's fair to say, to acknowledge the reality that spells can do a lot of things.
But that's not to say you always have to have a magic user in your party. You can't go and create a bunch of marshals. It's on.
You can't win the campaign if you don't. That's what we're. That's what we
Shut
just saw.
Shut up. It's on your DM.
Exactly. But in this case, it also had to do with the wisdoms. This is a very wisdom save heavy monster, and the more wisdom saves you fail, the longer.
All right,
it's
so this is
likely-
something fair to point out, that like in my party, definitely I'm Inigo. In making him, I figured that wisdom was probably his lower stat, and Wesley Wesley's a good example of somebody losing stats when they get translated into point buy.
Totally.
Because Wesley clearly has high charisma, high intelligence, and high wisdom. I think maybe not as high wisdom,
dexterity,
and high dexterity and high con. But I had to dump something, and it felt wrong for him not to have decent intelligence. And so wisdom I had to dump.
That's a real shame. I going into this, I actually thought, when I was comparing, just by going off the movies, I didn't make the characters like you guys did, but just going off the movies, I was like, the Princess Bride takes this. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because they made me laugh more in their movie, but I was like, they seem better at the things they do. But then I started thinking about, wait, Willow's obviously a wizard, and so maybe a lesson learned there.
I just hated the movie Willow, so I didn't want to have to cheer for them.
I think I would have probably chosen the brownies to be my third.
I was gonna say that's my only regret, is I wish I would have chosen the brownies instead.
I'm shocked you didn't, to be honest, because you said, I think you were the one that called one of them a bard, and so I thought you were going to make one of them a bard, Mad Mardigan a fighter, because he's clearly not a bard, and
I disagree.
what's his name, a wizard. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm the loser, so.
Yes, your opinion still does matter.
Oh, thanks.
But yes, congratulations to the Willow crew.
Ugh. My movie's better.
Your movie is better. I'll give it that. If you like what we do, visit dungeonvets.com. We have blogs and other things, even services that are on Fiverr. Give a like, comment, subscribe. It does help. We are trying to grow our channel, so we would be very thankful if you did that.
Thanks so much for listening, y'all.
Have a nice day.
Bye. Nate's team has always been very ugly, so.
That is...
Uncalled for.
Excuse me? That is...
What do you mean, always been?
That's extremely rude. His team is ugly? Are you attacking Val Kilmer?
Yeah.
No.
Are you attacking Warwick Davis?
I'm seizing the narrative before he tries to talk about his undefeated record.
Are you attacking me?
Are you attacking Nate?
I am willing to attack Nate on those grounds, but also no, I'm not.
You know what? Let's cut this all out. This is all cut out.
I'm just...
That was in poor taste, Steve.
Don't worry, I'll cut it all out and make myself look like a hero. Don't treat Nate that way, Ryan.
And that's where you start. That's where you bring it back in. Okay, whatever.